Welcome you once again in the Department of English, RBNB College, Srirampur. And in this video, you are going to study very interesting and nice poem written by a romantic poet, F.Y.B.A. Sali, that is Ozymandias. So this is a sonnet. Now, you are already familiar with the term sonnet. That is sonnet is a poem of 14 lines which has fixed rhyme schemes. Okay, now see how the story of Ozymandias is described in this sonnet and what kind of message this romantic poet would like to give through this poem. Now, F.Y.B.A. said he is the 19th century poet who was born on 4th of August 1792 and passed on 8th of July 1822. It means he has got only 28 to 29 years of life, and within this short span of life, he has given us number of good poems for English literature. So, while studying the poems of William Wordsworth, we studied what is romanticism and what are the salient features of romanticism. With the publication of lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge in 1798, the English romanticism was started, and there was great impact of French Revolution and the principles of French Revolution, that is equality, liberty and fraternity, appears in the literature of Romantic age. We have also studied that there are two generations of English romanticism, that is William Blake, William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge. This belongs to first generation, while Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley and John Keats, this is the second generation of the poets. And P.B. Shelley, being the follower of William Wordsworth, he also followed the features of romanticism in his work. And while commenting on the work of F.Y.B.A. Sali, as far as this poem is concerned, American literary critic Harold Bloom rightly describes him a superb craftsman and a lyric poet of the 19th century. When we study the famous poems of P.B. Shelley, we also notice the same. That is, in his famous work, that is the stanzas written in Dejection near Naples, or To a Skylark, Ode to the West Wind, the flower that smiles today, Adonis, that is an elegy on the death of John Keats, The Mask of Anarchy, Prometheus Unbound. It is a 4-act lyrical drama. Ozymandias as well as the Mutability are the famous poems of P.B. Shelley. He is also famous for his good quotes, even also. The lines he used in his work becomes a quotable quotes in English literature. For example, fear not the future, weep not the past. This is one of it. Or our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. It is another one. When we study the poems of written by this romantic poet P.B. Shelley, we find that majority of his work is related to the themes of his poetry is liberty, love, beauty and nature. As far as this poem Ozymandias is concerned, it is published in the Examiner, which is a popular newspaper in England, on 11th of January 1818. And this one, that is Ozymandias, it is the most celebrated and best known poem of the poet. Now, as already I mentioned that this poem, as far as the type of this poem is concerned, it is a sonnet, and sonnet is a poem of 14 lines. Petrarch is the founder of sonnet, this form, that is sonnet. Sonnets are of two types, that is Italian sonnet and English sonnet. Italian sonnet is also known as Petrarchan sonnet, while the English sonnet are also known as Shakespearean sonnet. They are different in their rhyme schemes, which we have already studied in the last video. The first 8 lines of even Ozymandias, or we can say the octave of the sonnet, describes the character of Ozymandias, and the sestet gives us the message. While after the break after 8th line, which gives us the character of this Ozymandias, how he is proud of himself, that is, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. How he describes, so this is known as the Holta. So the last part, that is the sestet, is just the comment on the first part, and in the octave, that is the first part, it is the frame narrative, and then describes the statue of Ozymandias. When we study this poem, we find that it is different from, as far as the rhyme scheme of this sonnet is concerned, it is different from Petrarch or Shakespeare even also. The rhyme scheme of this sonnet is ABAB, ACDC, EDE, FDE, FDF. So this is the rhyme scheme of the sonnet. It means that P.B. Sali followed another pattern while writing the sonnet. Okay, now let's have to study this poem. I'm going to read it for you first. In the first line, we are told that the poet is, the poem has first person narration. That is, the poet describes the event, what is going to be happen. So the first word is I stands for here, the poet. I met a traveler. That means here we notice here that there is going to be a discussion or dialogue between two persons. One is the poet himself, while the other is the traveler one. Now, who is this traveler? We are told later on, half part of the first line, that is from an antique land. So here you see the word the poet used, that is antique land. Actually, for word antique is used for the things, but the poet here purposely used this word for the land, and which means the ancient land. Now it is clear, that is poet met. That means here the past tense is used. So again it is the reconnection of the emotions recollected in tranquility described by P.B. Sali. So I met a traveler, not travelers. The poet is single person, while the traveler is also single person, and the traveler belongs to the antique land, or we can say ancient land. Now in the second line, the poet says, who said? Who means here? Who means here? The traveler. Who said, too vast. See the word, vast. What is vast? Vast means very huge, very large, very enormous. Now what enormous things is going to be described in the poem? Let us how to read ahead. The traveler says, two vast or enormous and trunkless legs of stone. Now, in short, we can say that the traveler is going to describe the statue of, the enormous statue of, huge statue of, vast statue of this Ozymandias. Now we are going to know about this statue later on, how huge it is, or whose statue is this, who is called the Ozymandias. After studying these lines, we are going to know about it. So you see, on a certain dais or on certain platform or on certain pedestal. Suppose this is the pedestal, or we can say dais or platform. So here we have the inscriptions given on this pedestal. Okay, so here the 8th line, my name is Ozymandias, the king of kings. So these words are written on this dais or on this platform. But here the traveler describes the how this statue is shattered one. And in the second line, we are told that it is a very vast or enormous statue. But what is the present condition of the statue is now? It is trunkless legs of stone. It means of stone describes that this is a statue and not a real person. So here we have, so suppose this is the statue, okay, though my painting is not good, so for your understanding I draw here picture. Suppose these are the two enormous legs based on this pedestal or on this platform, or we can say dais. And in the third line, the poet describes where the statue is, and he says, stand in the desert. Now Egypt is so famous for its desert. Now this statue is situated in the desert. Desert means, so here and there, far and away, we have sand and nothing else. No tree is there, no pond is there, no mountain is there, or we can say no natural beauty is there. So this statue is on a lonely place where we have the sand. So it is in the third line we are told that the stand in desert near them on the sand. So everywhere only the sand gives company to the this statue. There are no trees, no flowers, no plants, no shrubs, no river, no mountain, no natural beauty we can say. Only the thing giving company to this statue is the sand. And in the next line, that is the fourth line, the poet describes how this statue is shattered, how it is ruined, how it is damaged. In the fourth line, he describes what the poet says, half sung, a broken visage. So visage means face, or we can say this part, the upper part of the statue, Okay, so suppose here is this part of the statue. Okay, so the half part up to the legs or up to the waist only, the part is on the pedestal or on the dais on the platform. But the upper part of this statue had fallen down. It is broke and it is fallen down. But how in what condition the statue is half sunk? Means it is near to be buried, we can say. Half sunk, a broken. So here the condition of the statue, the condition of this part, the upper part of the statue is given. Half sunk means half buried, a broken visage. His face is broken, lies, whose frown and wrinkled lips. Again, in what condition the statue is? It is described here. That is wrinkled lips. Means there is, we can say, the glazing of the statue is absent. Okay, lips and sneer of cold command. It shows the authority, the power of that statue. That is when it was the sculptor made this statue. The features of this statue still appears. That when we look at this statue, still we notice the cold command and wrinkled lips and sneer. What do you mean by sneer here? Sneer means mock at of the old command. Tell that the sculptor well those passions read is the next line. That means the sculptor, when the statue was made, perhaps the sculptor read the passions, the feelings, the emotions of this Ozymandias, and with the we can say his skill and his special tools, he could have made this fantastic statue. Okay, next the poet says, tell this sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. Here, this word lifeless things. After all, the statue and the original emperor, which is Ramses II, we are going to know it about later on after finishing this sonnet. So here the poet is going to say, here the stress is given on lifeless things. Now, whatever the passions inscribed by the sculptor, it becomes lifeless now. The hand, that is the skill of the sculptor, the hand that mocked them and that heart that fed, and oh, the pedestal, those words appear. Next, the poet says, while describing, this is the, we can say, description of the statue. That is the identity of the statue, and what is the present condition of the statue is described in the octave part of this sonnet. And here the poet says, on this pedestal, certain words are inscribed on the pedestal, and these words appear. What is written here? What is inscribed on this pedestal or the base or the dais? And the next line says that my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Here, the identity of the statue he himself gives. The statue gives its identity. That whose statue is this? He says, my name is Ozymandias. Then the statue also describes that what kind of man or the ruler or the king he was. And he says, King of Kings. That means he, in short we can say, he describes that I am the supreme power. So power is also one of the theme of this sonnet. That is how this Ozymandias describes the power. We see in this line. Then the next, the poet says, look on my works. The statue says to his visitors, what he says? Look on my works, a mighty and despair. So mighty, what is this mighty? We can say huge, large, or small and big. In short, we can say. He says, look at my works. What is this work? That is work done by the statue when Ozymandias was alive. Or we can say his fights, his war, his work, everything. Or we can say his career, whatever the things he did when Ozymandias was alive. He says, you can, if you study my work, the work may be small, maybe the big, maybe the mighty, or maybe the despair. He says, maybe powerful. Nothing besides remain is left. Round the decay is the next line. But what is present situation? It is very difficult from the past. And so again, this is the contrast between past and present. Okay, here the poet would like to say that power is a temporary thing. It is not permanent. Okay, so we should not think of the future, because time is the best medicine. Your position, somebody is going to be take in the future. This is again the message of this poem. And next the sonnet says, of that colossal means very massive or very huge, rack, boundless and bare, means everything is unlimited and empty, or boundless or limitless, crash and ruin, destroy and nothing else. And the last line says that the lone and the level means flat, sand stretched far and away. So far and away, it means the sand is giving company to this King Ozymandias. Now, after studying this sonnet, we'll notice that our hero, it means the statue of Ozymandias, what kind of king or the ruler he was. First of all, he was a tyrant, he was a dictator, he was autocrat, he was ambitious, he was a man, power of hungry, self-important, boastful, greedy, careless, someone or something, and immense size. And we can say even the titanic figure of the statue is also described in this poem. Here, the Ozymandias, who assumed this name, is the king of Egypt, emperor of Egypt, or we can say ruler of Egypt, named as Ramses II. So the statue of Ozymandias means the statue of Ramses II. who is known as Ozymandias. Metaphorically, it represents the power or legacy and command. Actually, when we see the history of Ramses II, it is to be said that he lived from 1279 to 1213 BC or 1279 to 1213 BC, and he died at the age of 96. It is to be said, certainly may be legends, so I would not like to go in detail of that history, but it is usually said that he died at the age of 96. He had 200 wives, 96 sons and 60 daughters, and his statue is at the site of ancient Egyptian capital named as Thebes, which is 420 miles away from south of Cairo. This statue was originally 57 feet high, and the head of the statue weighed 7.25 tons. So you can understand how huge this statue is and what is the present condition of this statue is now. So the poet is going to say that the power is a momentary one. The role of power in human life is a momentary one. It is a temporary one, and we assert that all that we gain in life, that is wealth, fame and power, all of these things are temporary one. It also highlights the irony of the king Ozymandias, who is the arrogance and his pride of power, how it is melted at the end of the poem. His statue is reduced to be rubble or debris at the end of the poem, and there are some powers which are beyond our control or our realm, our empire or our kingdom. And in short, the poet would like to say that this earthly power is mutable or it is alterable, so one should not be very proud of this temporary thing. So this is the message given by P.B. Sali in his famous sonnet Ozymandias. I hope you like this video and enjoy this video. Thank you to spare time with me.